In today's episode, we will show the top locations of Vietnam's capital that can be visited in just 2 days at a leisurely pace. And this compactness of Hanoi is undoubtedly a huge plus for tourists. We are happy to welcome you to our channel. My name is Anna, behind the camera is Eugene, and we have been living in different Asian countries for 7 years. We ended up in Hanoi completely by chance due to visa issues, but we were able to see the true Vietnam, which is completely different from the touristy Nha Trang. You're in for an eventful episode, almost 20 attractions, we'll try local cuisine, stroll through markets and see how the locals live. Give us a like and let's go. And getting around here is very convenient. The second advantage of Hanoi is public transportation. You don't even need a bike, so we get on the bus and comfortably, for just a few pennies, head to the center. And next we have a walking tour of the city. We will specifically indicate the time so you understand how close all the points are to each other. And the first one is Hoan Kiem Lake. People sit on benches and admire the toy-like pagoda on the water. It is called the Turtle Tower. I will tell you the legend related to the turtle in just a minute. But for now, I can't wait to show you the main beauty located in another part of the lake. It is an incredibly memorable scarlet bridge, like something from a postcard. The bridge leads to the Temple of the Three Sages. Let's quickly go to the ticket booth. And here it is, the third advantage of Hanoi. Very low entrance fees to all the attractions we will visit. In some places, entry will be free. Here, I paid only 110 rubles. So, the temple with the turtle. Legend has it that in the early 15th century, the heaven sent Emperor Leloa a magical sword with which he expelled the Chinese from Vietnam. Then, on this very lake, a giant golden turtle came for the sword, took it, and disappeared into the depths. Now the body of water is called Lake of the Returned Sword. How do you like the location? I really liked it. We are now in the Old Town area. For the lazy, there are cycle rickshaws. They also sell bus tours around the city. There are daytime and evening routes. Tickets can be purchased in advance, online, or right here at the ticket office. For example, for 4 hours during the day, you will pay from $12. And we continue on foot. Just a couple of 100 meters from the Red Bridge is a square that is constantly seen in the stunning night shots of Hanoi. However, during the day, this place looks quite plain. A small noisy intersection, the hum of cars. At least the balloon seller and the rickshaw added some charm to the scene. For me, it's much more fun to look at old ladies with yokes, narrow Vietnamese houses with colorful designs, shop windows, the leisurely life of Vietnamese people sitting everywhere on their tiny chairs. And suddenly, we've already reached the Catholic Cathedral. It's also a major attraction of the capital. Everyone is taking pictures at the temple. I love looking at people's faces, and suddenly I finally realize that I hardly see any European faces and that there are so few foreign tourists in Hanoi, just a handful. And this of course is very pleasant after Nha Trang, which is crowded with Russian speakers. There you ride in the elevator with 5 other Russians and think, am I really in Vietnam? In front of you is the oldest church in Hanoi. It was built by the French government in 1886. This church is of neo-Gothic revival with twin bell towers 31 meters high. You do remember where the baguette in Vietnam comes from? It's all the same French influence. Unfortunately, during my visit, they were not letting people into the temple. Judging by the photos, the same Gothic restraint is inside as outside. I got quite cold, went to warm up in a cafe, and recorded my first honest impressions of the city. I was walking downtown for about 1.5 hours. I have exactly 2 wishes. First, to wash my face, because it feels like it's covered in dust. And second, I need a mask. It's like when you're renovating your house and the fine dust from the plaster makes it hard to breathe. You will remember it because it sticks everywhere, to the nose, to the palate. It's constantly on the face here. Well, we've warmed up with some ginger tea. Let's move on. And almost immediately we come across a modest temple where a service was taking place. I'll be quiet so you can experience the moment. I always get goosebumps from such fortunate coincidences, as if I alone have been shown some mystery. If you liked it too, don't forget to give it a like. The city is, of course, very chaotic, bustling, loud, and crowded with vehicles and people. Yet I will again note its compactness around all the main attractions. You walk towards a destination using the navigator. For us, it was the Opera House. And along the way, you come across a wonderful dishware shop. While you admire the craftsmanship of ceramicists, let me tell you about another downside of Hanoi besides the terrible environment. In December, it's extremely cold here. We're used to it always being warm in Southeast Asia. But when we arrive, we catch at best 17 degrees Celsius in the sun during the day. And at night, the temperature dropped to 8 degrees. It was just crazy. We slept in clothes and with the air conditioner on heating. In general, keep in mind, the climate in Nha Trang and Hanoi is drastically different, so we move on. It turned out that another unplanned but top-notch spot was waiting on the way. So I'm walking and I see people crowding around with ice creams. I read about this ice cream when I was preparing for the trip, but for some reason I decided not to go there. And then it found me on its own. I have to try it. Meanwhile, the cafe itself and the interior deserve special attention. I love this kind of art. Very photogenic place. The ice cream itself is not creamy, but more like a sorbet. It's something between ice cream and a fruit ice, but it's tasty. Overall, I'm glad I found this place on my way. We keep moving past endless red flags. Of course, these attributes of the USSR are already making me shudder. There are many more of them in the capital compared to Nha Trang. Meanwhile, evening had already come, and I decided to finally reach the Opera Building as a former resident of St. Petersburg. I'll tell you right away, I don't understand why it's included in Hanoi's top must-visit places. Seriously, it's just a building. Well, okay, it's checked off the list. Nevertheless, an evening walk in Hanoi is quite pleasant. Shop windows with New Year's decorations glow warmly. You can find boutiques of world brands and right next to them a shoe shiner. The city is very colorful. And if you leave the center for ordinary districts, sometimes it can even be shocking. As you can judge by the paws, it was a dog. In a week in Hanoi, we repeatedly saw dogs on a spit. They say that dog meat is habitually eaten by elderly people, adults. The youth, of course, now prefer cafes, sitting outside, munching on seeds and drinking beer. Another unusual thing is these smoking devices that are everywhere, just standing in buckets, huge bamboo pipes. According to reviews, they have a super strong effect. They say tourists who are not used to them should not even try. But here's something you definitely should try. You'll find out now. We're ending the first day with dinner at a cafe, and we'll show you a dish we discovered in Hanoi. But I think it's found throughout the country. The name on the poster. If you find it, feel free to try it. Here, thinly sliced beef is quickly stir-fried in a wok and served on a bed of greens and rice noodles with bean sprouts, peanuts, and a deliciously rich, slightly sweet broth. For a bit of zest, there's also pickled onion. And it's delightful. The taste is reminiscent of kebab. In Vietnam, there are really super tasty dishes. You just need to know what to choose. And we are moving on to the next day. The next day begins with a walk through the residential area. Who wants exotic fruits? This is gac fruit, healthy but very peculiar in taste. Life in the streets has long been bustling. After all, Asians always rise with the first roosters. We only went out for breakfast by 11, and ahead is another day full of impressions. Alas, Eugene is going to the hotel to work, and I'm off again to explore Hanoi for you alone. On the positive side, I can say that I felt quite safe in the city by myself. We go to the bus stop again. About the buses, I want to note that during the day they are almost empty, but in the evening you'll be packed like sardines in a can. Also, they are very clean. Especially pleasing are the washed windows. Not smudged, you can easily film the city for you. We have arrived at the Women's Museum. The entrance fee is slightly more than $1.50. I personally knew for sure that there would be national costumes there, and I love that. It turns out, in addition to this, there are also halls dedicated to various aspects of a woman's life. Marriage, motherhood, career, household, agriculture, handicrafts, and so on. I was curious, so I spent about an hour there. There were very few visitors, so I could peacefully look at the exhibits. In the lobby, I really liked the photo albums in the souvenir shop. Although, of course, in the age of digital photography, it's unlikely anyone buys these heavy books and albums. But why not? There might be some enthusiasts. All right, it's lunchtime here. We're going to show you a dish I had at a regular street stall, and it was super delicious. Just look at those colors. What an appetizing presentation. You wrap it in rice paper, just a bit of everything, dip it in the divine, thick, warm peanut sauce, and enjoy. Yes, right on the sidewalk with a pinch of city dust and the aroma of exhaust fumes. But it was worth it. Now I'm ready to move on. About 10 more attractions await us in this video. Of course, the coolest ones are at the end. I definitely wasn't planning to come here, but since I was passing by, I took some pictures from outside. This is the prison where prisoners were held during the Vietnam War. If you feel like real life isn't scary enough, you can visit to see the torture chambers and a real guillotine. I'm not ready for this and prefer to observe local life, watch lively faces, smile at the man on the cycle rickshaw, be amazed by the magnificent wrought iron doors, and notice the peculiarities of the Vietnamese, for example, their love for birds in cages. Even street art with a Soviet touch is more interesting to me. Started talking about the Soviet Union, and like a jack-in-the-box, Lenin appeared on the horizon. This is an integral part of the country's history, just like the war to which the museum opposite the monument is dedicated. There are airplanes there, which, by the way, we will see for free when we finally reach the much older architectural monument. First, let's buy a ticket. In the building with the ticket office, there is a small exhibition for the Autumn Lantern Festival. There are also a few photo zones. I already like it here, but it only gets better. We are walking through a small park towards a beautiful yellow fortress. This building has a very ancient history and immense significance. It is the Imperial Citadel, first built in the 11th century. Thang Long, if I pronounced it correctly, is a cultural site listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For almost 13 centuries, it was the unchanging center of political power and the residence of Vietnamese rulers, until the capital was moved to Hue in the year 1810. During the French colonial era, royal palaces and most buildings were severely damaged. By the 20th century, a number of remaining buildings were demolished. Right now, excavations are underway there, and you can feel like an archaeologist, observing how it happens through the glass. The artifacts discovered here during the excavations are collected in one of the pavilions on the territory. There's still a lot here. You can take nice shots while walking around. Especially pleasing are the girls and boys in traditional costumes. I really like the Citadel. I think this location is worth visiting. What about you? Write in the comments. Just outside the park around the Citadel, you can look at the airplanes over the fence. Military themes certainly dominate and are frankly exploited everywhere in Hanoi. There is, for example, a chain of coffee shops styled either as a bunker or as an army tent. They are also famous for their coconut coffee. I decided to try it too, but it was a big mistake. And it's not even about the taste, but the fact that I was already terribly cold and the coffee turned out to have coconut ice cream on top. So, what's our next stop on the tour? The local Red Square and a huge mausoleum. Just so you know, newlyweds have photo shoots here, and the fact that it's essentially a cemetery doesn't bother anyone. Overall, Hanoi, with its explosive mix of communism and military themes, is very unpleasant and makes me want to go back to Nha Trang. But we're not giving up. Ahead are two beautiful temples, a walk by the lake, and an evening market with street food, just the things we love. We also love it when you like and subscribe to our channel. Right, Kitty? We would really appreciate it if you acknowledge our efforts. Notice the beautiful temple on the bus. When it leaves, we will see the building right in front of us. Funny coincidence. The balloon sellers also made me smile. Why pigs? I have no idea. And the downside of Vietnam is that almost no one knows English, so I couldn't find this out from the sellers. The minimum entrance fee is only 40 cents, and soon the street noise fades into the background, allowing you to immerse yourself in a different atmosphere. This is the kind of Asia I like. As it is written on the internet, the highlight of this place is a 4-ton statue made of black bronze, crafted back in the year 1677. If the nearly 4-meter statues do not impress you, then pay attention to these decorative elements. Genuine mother of pearl. Beautiful, wonderful Taoist temple. And the main thing is, everything is on the way and without crowds of tourists. We stopped by for 10 minutes and are heading to the lake. By the way, it's huge compared to where the turtle returned the sword, you know? Just nearby, again on the lake, is a Buddhist temple, or as I called it for myself, the Orange Pagoda. Very beautiful. They sell creatures at the entrance, birds, fish, turtles. Releasing them into the wild is considered a good omen for Vietnamese people and a business opportunity for their entrepreneurial citizens. It is clear that the temple is maintained in good condition, restored and painted. It is very nice and cozy here. Did you know what these unusual offerings are? This is a citrus fruit called Buddha's hand or Buddha's fingers. It's the first time I've seen it in person here. This tower is definitely on my list of favorites, and the entrance is completely free. But let's add a spoonful of tar. We are showing you the city honestly. There's a big issue with the environment here. Dead fish in the lake is just the beginning. Sometimes you can see rats running past your feet like they're not afraid of people at all. Also, I already mentioned the air quality and noise level. After such a walk, you experience a real overload of all sensory systems. A tea break is needed. By the way, about tea, this was our big disappointment in Vietnam. We are tea enthusiasts and read that green tea is served everywhere in cafes as free water. It turns out they do serve it, but it's something like chamomile or some herbal mix, not green tea at all. The main thing is, my brew was hot and very strong. It energized me so much that I felt like pedaling a catamaran. Riding swans on the lake is a popular attraction here. It's affordable and quite romantic for a date, for example. I can't drag Eugene on a sled, but he finally joins me, and we both head to the old quarter, hoping to find something colorful and maybe try out some new street food. Narrow streets, lots of people, and of course mopeds, street musicians, a pre-New Year fair, goods, fruits, seafood, and of course hundreds of cafes with high chairs for children. Let's take a look at what's here and how it works. I think comments are unnecessary. Oh, finally found what I've been wanting to try for a long time. It's water chestnut. Like raw potato?
This is Jerusalem artichoke.
No, water chestnut. But very juicy.
Sweet?
Just a little. Overall, we enjoyed the walk, although we were tired of the super busy atmosphere and the beckoning to bars and cafes. We moved farther away and found a quiet place where we had a delicious dinner of our favorite dish. It's one I can pronounce, buncha. Well, the final third day and the final push to 2 mega popular locations in Hanoi. While walking to breakfast and the bus stop, we took pictures of the real, non-touristy Hanoi. Because our hotel was far from the center, endless tents and food carts. Vietnam has so many greens, vegetables, fruits. I can't get enough of it. Also, I don't think the Vietnamese can walk. Bicycle or bike, but not on their own. Many wear the famous cone hat. And here's proof of how cold it is, by the way. Somebody strapped mittens to their bike. We arrived at the capital's main attraction, Train Street, a street where a train whizzes by a couple of times a day past the cafes and tourists sitting in it. The place is ideal for a photo shoot. There are dozens of mini establishments along the paths, and each one tries to stand out by painting on the walls brightly colored furniture, inviting you to sit down at their place. Our task was to combine two things, film a train and try the famous egg coffee. So we ended up at a cafe that served it on their menu. Let's try the coffee.
A very thick, delicious creamy mousse and coffee at the bottom.
It's delicious. I never would have said it was an egg in my life. It's kind of vanilla, it's fun. Let's stir it now. This is very tasty, really. My reels with these shots have racked up 8 million views on Instagram. Everyone thinks it's so much fun. Actually, I'll admit it was pretty scary. The train rushes so close, the rumble hits your ears, and you just pray that soon it's all over and you are not hurt. At the same time, of course, smiling hysterically into the frame. In short, the entertainment is not for the faint of heart. The last and one of the main attractions in Hanoi can be reached from Train Street on foot. The country's cultural heritage awaits us. This is the Temple of Literature, Vietnam's first national university, founded back in 1070 and dedicated to Confucius. Think for a second about the same years the first European university was founded in the Italian city of Bologna, and the oldest university in Russia opened 700 years later. I can't say we were impressed by the Temple of Literature. My personal top is the Scarlet Bridge, the Ginger Pagoda, and the Yellow Citadel. Now it's time to summarize. Personally, our verdict is that Hanoi is definitely more colorful than Nha Trang. It has more history and identity of Vietnam. And it is worth staying here at least for a day if you are planning your trip in the north of the country. To be honest, I probably wouldn't recommend coming here specifically to visit these attractions. Draw your own conclusions. Thanks for watching and see you in new videos.